Hey everybody, Truth Dog back at it yet again with another crazy video. Today I want to discuss reptilian shapeshifters, basically non-humans, something I haven't really done on the channel before, but I thought we'd try something different today. I got my notes. I'm going to go through all the different types of non-humans, or essentially when I refer to reptilians on the channel, it's like a catch-all phrase. I kind of mean psychopaths or sociopaths, which are really the same thing. I feel like psychology is deliberately overcomplicated, just so it's very hard to understand, and people argue and they have all these different philosophies, and when really they just agree. A lot of things are like that in this world. Pretty much everything is. It's all part of divide and conquer. We might be getting a visit from Mr. Cat, because he just ran past, but yeah, boys, is he going to be disappointed when he realizes I haven't fed him today? And I'm not going to. But anyway, so let's get into the different types of reptilians and non-humans. Oh, one thing I should mention before we get started, I just got released from the nut house. And they said they're sick of seeing me, so they gave me this handy little device. It's called the Insanometer. What it does is it detects high levels of insanity. Whenever someone says something crazy, it starts beeping. And that lets the nut house know that it's time to go get that person because they're not well. And yeah, so I'm going to do this video, but I hope this thing doesn't go off because I really don't want to go back to the nut house. The beds are just so uncomfortable. So let's get started. Let's get straight into the video. So different types of reptilians, non-humans, aliens, demons. Depending on who you ask, they're the same thing. If you would ask me, they are essentially the same thing. I just want to say up front, I don't think that all non-humans are evil. Not that I've met all of them. But I do understand that it gets into like kind of a racist area, and who knows, like maybe after like the V-type alien invasion on Earth happens, and you know, the reptilians come as our saviors, and we're all meant to love and worship them, and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to look like a friggin' racist. So I just want to say up front that I actually love all reptilians, and yeah. So let's get started. So the most common form of reptilians or non-humans, I would say, is the hybrid. Now, what is a hybrid? Well, I think most people are aware that a hybrid is a type of car, but it can also mean other things. Hybrids, when it comes to reptilians, means that it's a human that is bred with a reptilian of some shape or form, because you know, they're bipedal. They have heads, they have arms, they, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs. Sometimes they have a tail, but essentially, like, they are humanoid creatures. These reptilians. And they, you know, they got the genitalia, which is the most important part of breeding, I've been told. So they can and have in the past bred with humans, and so the thing is, like, initially, like, so let's go back to, like, maybe say the Bible, where it all started, allegedly. Now, I haven't really read the Bible, but I've been told that there's a story called Adam and Eve, right? And the whole idea of Adam and Eve is, long story short, this chick called Eve gets tricked into fucking a reptilian who is represented as the snake, who, you know, that's like the forbidden fruit or something like that. But anyway, I mean, what was he, goo? I don't know, but she ended up breeding with this guy, and she ended up creating a whole different bloodline, and maybe that goes into Cain and Abel, where one was good, one was bad, one was, you know, human, and the other one was not. Maybe that's where it all started, when Eve were either consensually, or knowing reptilians, it probably wasn't consensual, if you know what I mean. So she you know, what's the word? She knew him in the biblical sense, or whatever, this snake, which I guess was Satan. I guess it might have been Satan, because if you want to look at it in the analogous way, or some big word, whatever big word it is that I'm looking for, that the devil is a reptilian. And so let's just say that she fucked the devil, and that's how we got into the whole mess. Damn you, Eve, you know what I mean? Maybe that's where those MGTOW guys get their philosophy from, that Eve started this whole mess. I don't know. I don't think it was her fault. So anyway, that's where it started. So she created the first hybrid. Now, the idea of hybrids, as far as I'm aware, is that they kind of, how should I put it? The vibration on Earth at the time, when at the start, in the beginning, in the Garden of Eden, if any of that was true, that the vibration was very, very high, right? And reptilian psychopaths in general, sociopaths, same kind of thing, they thrive on negative energy. It actually makes them stronger. It's called loosh. That's why they do shitty things all the time, because they enjoy it. The same way a good person, or say a human, feels good about doing good deeds and helping others and whatnot and making the world a better place. A psychopath or reptilian is the opposite, where they feel more powerful when they're in control of others, when they're causing problems for others. They get off on it. Some might even say sexually. I know that we're kind of focusing on that a little too much, but it sort of reminds me of the character Dennis in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who is like a very funny but also accurate representation of psychopathy. And there's so many jokes and references with that character where he literally gets off sexually by controlling others and screwing people over. So that's like a very reptilian hybrid trait. So basically where I started with that is that Eve created a different bloodline, the Cain bloodline, of non-humans in human form. So because the snake person bred with a human, that they were able to create another type of human that was evil, right? And I do believe that depending on the amount of DNA that's involved, like let's say it's like a full-on 100% pure-blooded reptilian, 9 foot tall green lizard man, right, rapes a human woman. The child is going to come out looking like a green, one of those like lizard baby things that I've shown on my channel before, like literally like some kind of little frog baby, right, or whatever. It's going to come out not looking too humanoid, right? And that still happens. And I do believe that when you see those videos online of like these, I forget exactly what they say, it's some sort of deformity that the babies have, but I do actually believe that in reality that these were cases of rape, where women in these, it's usually in like non-English speaking small sort of village settings where these women have been raped by these snake men, and that's why they have these deformed babies. But okay, so like what I'm trying to say, at this point in time, because it's been going on since the beginning of time, all this interbreeding, that at this point it's getting very, very difficult to tell who is, a psychopath or not, because they've been breeding with humans so long that generation after generation, the children are having more and more human DNA, which is just helping them blend in. And I'm honestly of the belief that technically, I would say probably everybody at this point is some form of reptilian hybrid, to varying degrees. Like I said, depending on the amount of DNA, the baby could be born with certain reptilian traits, and we'll go into those. Slit eyes, obviously, I'm sure most people would be aware of that. Sort of fang teeth. See, we have fangs, but we're not like predators where our teeth were. Well, our bodies aren't designed to actually like eat meat. We're not like natural predators. See, I get some people on the channel saying, "Well, we're meant to eat meat. We're designed to eat meat." We're not designed to eat meat. We're not designed to digest meat. It literally constipates us. It gives us many different types of cancers. Most GPs, as crooked as they are, at a certain point literally have to tell their patients that they have to stop eating red meat because it's fucking killing them and giving them cancer. There's parasites in the blood of all meat that you consume. Basically, the difference between humans, we have different sight. We're not predators. We're not meant to be hunters. Our sight is emphasizes focus and detecting colors, whereas predators' vision is technically more monochrome. They don't really see colors because they don't need to see fruit and veggies that are on the tree. That's not their food. It's meant to be our food. Anything the earth grows is meant to be our food. Anything that walks with us on the earth is meant to be our friend. Okay, that to me is common sense. Of course, all of us are bred into a lie where we are basically shoved body parts into our mouths as babies, and we can't say no. Again, like rape, everything's fucking rape because all of this planet is owned by these reptilian psychopaths who are really trying to keep the vibration low because, as I said, that's in their best interest. But what I was saying is that predators see movement and they don't see color because they're meant to be hunting. Predators have slit eyes, they have sharp teeth. They have claws usually. We don't have claws. We don't have sharp teeth. We don't have slit eyes. At least we're not supposed to. Some of us do, as I'm saying. Reptilian hybrids do. Those are people who are more reptilian DNA, meaning that their father or mother, or perhaps a combination of the two, had a high amount of reptilian DNA, and sometimes those traits are still present. And when they get angry, it's kind of like the Hulk, you don't want to see me when I'm mad, like he turned into a green monster. A lot of the stuff in our fiction is basically telling the truth about what's out there, different types of people. When reptilians get angry, they get slit eyes. Sometimes their skin even changes, I've seen people sort of have kind of scales on their arms when they're nervous, like low vibration. I've talked about this before, I've got videos. Anything low vibration will kind of bring out the reptilian in anybody, right? And I'm not immune to it either. I've never had slit eyes. I can't growth bangs. I can't Wolverine and pull a bunch of claws out. Methinks he doth protest too much. I don't have green skin. I'm hairy like a mammal. And I use my right brain, my creative right brain, rather than my left logical side, which is more psychopathy. We all do have a reptilian core. So, like I was saying, technically we're all hybrids, but depending on how much DNA is involved, some people could have reptilian traits more so than others. And I'm not saying that just because you have reptilian traits, sometimes my eyes change, I have a longer tongue, like people, some people have really long tongues, like a lizard, I don't know, Gene Simmons from Kiss as an example. Some people even have a secondary kind of snake tongue that comes out. I forget exactly what that's called. But, they have a snake tongue that comes out. All different sorts of shit, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. I'm just saying that the reason that there's all these different traits is because we've been interbred with these reptilians for a reason, for hundreds of years or however long the history goes back. A lot of people have proven that if you look at photos and things from just 100 or 200 years ago, it doesn't make any sense. It's our history is a lie. I've said before, basically, nearly everything they tell us is a lie, because if they told us anything true, then we'd know what the truth looks like and we'd know what a lie sounds like. So if they teach everything, if everything they teach is a lie, then when you hear the truth, it sounds crazy. It's very convenient for them. Knowledge is power. They know everything. They don't tell us anything. That means they stay at the top. That means we're all at the bottom, fighting with each other with all this bullshit that they cause. So anyway, so that's the first type. Most common hybrids. Technically, most people, but to varying degrees, you could be finding someone who is maybe technically not human. But anyway, they can't shapeshift, like I was saying, unless they get mad or scared or any kind of low vibration. That's kind of where shapeshifting comes into play for a hybrid who has let's say a decent amount of reptilian DNA. Beep 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 beep. Oh no, it's the crazyometer. Beep beep beep, calling Nut House now. Ah, crap. I've got to say something insane to shut this thing down. Beep, 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 beep. Think, Trick Dog, think. Oh, I know. I think that trans people should have their own parking spaces. Same levels detected as normal. Powering down. Whew. Oh, man, dodged a bullet there. Well, we better get back to this list before that thing goes off and sends me to the nut house. Okay, so the next reptilian on the list that we've got here is polymorphs or shapeshifters. Now these aren't, especially the polymorphs, these aren't the type that you're going to see every day, but you might see them on screen, particularly in movies, which I know that it's well, it's just a movie, dude, but they do tend to tell the truth in fiction, like they say, they fictionalize the truth. They tell the truth in fiction, and they fictionalize the truth. So so what that means to me is that in the movies, they'll tell you all this stuff that's actually going on, all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, all the crazy stuff that's possible. Like sci-fi, as an example, is a genre where it's meant to be oh, that's all fantasy stuff, and it's all designed to be anyone who believes in is or knows about something that has been in a sci-fi movie. People would just be seems like this guy's been watching too many movies or whatever. But the truth of fiction is that they do use these movies to disclose what's going on, what their plan is, kind of like an evil villain. It's kind of I've heard it referred to as their way of avoiding negative karma. It's if they tell us what their plan is in these movies that everybody sees, and they tend to put it in a lot of movies at the same time. That's why you'll see throughout history, It's like, oh, can't Hollywood get any new ideas? Like, this is the third movie they've made about an asteroid hitting Earth. It's because they want to make sure pretty much every single person on the planet is aware, because they told as many people as they could what they were planning, and if we didn't do anything about it, it's our fault. You see how that works? It's like we're sort of we're complicit. We're guilty because like we knew about it. It would be like if you knew that a priest who was like diddling some kid and you didn't do anything about it. Well, you'd be a piece of shit because like you knew and you didn't do anything to help. So that's kind of why they put these messages in movies about what's going on. But back to what I was saying, like with polymorphs, they tell the story of these kind of evil creatures in a couple of movies. The most famous example I would say is the movie The Thing. They've made many different versions of that, which is kind of ironic because it's about a creature that takes on many forms, and they've made this movie about that has taken on many forms. I would say that the most famous form of the movie is John Carpenter's version of The Thing, probably the best too. Like I said, it's about an evil creature that can change its form into any other living being, including animals. It does this for... I don't want to spoil the movie, but it basically does it. It doesn't have good intentions, we'll say that. And not to say that all polymorphs are evil, but as far as movies have shown, they are. Another example, not quite a polymorph, not even sure how you'd class this, certainly non-human, is the movie Under the Skin, starring Scarlett Johansson, where she plays an evil alien creature that preys on young men. She goes around seducing men, and they think they're going to get lucky, but what they actually get is murdered and eaten. And she, like, by ingesting their body parts and the human blood, it helps her keep her human form, which kind of like ties into the idea of vampires. Vampires are another form of reptilians. The sharp fangs, pale skin, allergic to the sun, so they're not from this planet. They can turn into bats, shapeshift. That actually goes along. I was talking about those like super tall, like 9-foot green, like reptilian men. Those are called the Draco reptilian. They're the ruling class of reptilian, the non-humans. That's the reptilian in its full reptilian DNA kind of form. They said that some of these Draco reptilians have wings, which sounds a lot like what the Dracula and all the vampires can turn into. You even see this in video games. In the Castlevania series, the final boss is usually Dracula. You fight him in his human form. Once you've defeated his human form, he shapeshifts or like bursts out of his human skin, and he's like this, what looks like the Draco reptilian men with the big wings and all that sort of stuff. And maybe that's why we have blood drives and donate blood and all that sort of stuff. It might be just so that you can be giving these non-human creatures that are out there the thing that they need to keep their human form. I've talked about this before too, but they have this stuff called, oh geez, I forget what it's called. Just give me a second to remember. Okay, I just remembered. Thanks, Google. It's called Xenomix. Right. It's this stuff where they have aborted baby fetus, fetal tissue or whatever, dead babies. That's one of the reasons that that abortion is a thing, because the little baby that they kill and take out, they actually use that. The stem cells. They put it in. They made a product called Xenomix, which is purchased by big companies like Coke and Pepsi, and it's literally one of the ingredients in Coke and Pepsi is aborted stem cell tissues, fetus. I think the reason that they're doing this is two-pronged, at least. One of the prongs being that these vampire kind of reptilian creatures, like hybrids that are, so non-human that they literally need to ingest human blood to appear human. That the reason that it's in so many products is so that if they're, feeling like they're about to start, changing back into a vampire thing, they can look down a couple of Pepsis and they're good as new. The other reason is that for the human population, that it's a way of conditioning us and to getting a taste for human flesh, because I think eventually when the shit really hits a fan here and the NWO comes into full swing and, basically it all becomes like the Bible foretold, like Babylon, and dog eat dog, woof woof. Literally, people are fighting amongst each other, and everyone's killing each other. It's just a way to give people a taste for blood, I think. So what was I talking about again? Yeah, so like shapeshifters, you see them like newsreaders, the people in the KFC video, I believe they're the ones using that amazing Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. Polymorphs, less common. If I was to point out what they look like in human form, I think that when you look at NASA and the astronauts, and for those who don't know, NASA's completely fake. Hey, it seems like everything's fake, right? It's that, except for your old boy Truth Dog, woof woof. That NASA's fake. The whole reason for NASA being fake is that they have to pretend that space travel is possible, because apparently we live in a dome, big glass dome, and it's impossible to get out. They fired rockets up to the glass, like it's made of glass so thick, like the firmament they mention in the Bible. No one can get out of here. So they created space travel as a lie to make people think that just to throw people off the idea that we're living in a dome, and that's been told in movies too, like the Simpsons movie, and Stephen King did a novel about it, Under the Dome, which came out after the Simpsons movie, but it's not a new story. It's in the Bible, the firmament, and JFK. One of the reasons that they assassinated him apparently was because he wanted to. He found out about the firmament, and he wanted to tell everybody about it, and they weren't going to have that, so they killed him, and then they faked the first moon landing, which was apparently shot by Stanley Kubrick. And if you look at his movies throughout his career, he hints at the fact that he was the director of the original moon landing, because there's all these weird obscure references to Apollo 13 and whatnot in a lot of his movies, like The Shining and all the others, pretty much all of them. So apparently, because when he did the movie, what was it, 2001 A Space Odyssey, that the FBI, CIA, or whatever, they looked at that and thought, wow, that looks like so believable. We need to get this guy on our first moon landing thing. And it's been referenced that the landing was fake in a lot of other movies. Like there's a James Bond movie from the 60s with Sean Connery in it, where he's chasing the bad guys through the desert or whatever, and he goes into like this weird government base looking thing, and the chase scene, like in the background you literally see them shooting the moon landing on a movie set. There's Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Californication, Space may be the final frontier, but it's filmed in a Hollywood basement. So moon landing was fake. That's the reason. I don't know what that has to do with reptilians, but it is pretty crazy all the same. Beep, 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 beep. Damn it. The crazometer. I've got to say something else saying to shut this thing off. Beep, 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 calling the nut house. Ed Sheeran's the most talented artist of our generation. Same levels, very high. Powering down, bird. Whew. Well, I think I sort of covered that. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, NASA, which is real. The astronauts, if you look at those guys, I think those guys are like good examples of like polymorphs, where the ones who can take human form, I think a lot of the time they end up looking like sort of stock people. They have like sort of like puffy looking skin. You'll notice this on some people. They're like they almost look hollow, like Tin Man or something. I think those are like what the polymorphs look like in person. Again, sort of polar skin. Maybe look at the KFC video I did. I think that's a bunch of polymorphs or shapeshifters or whatever. They're not human. They all fit the bill. Okay, so let's go in. The next type, keep going. The next type of reptilians on the list is clones. Now, for those aren't aware, cloning has been a thing for a lot longer than Dolly the sheep has been around, or her clone. Cloning has been around probably as far as I know since like World War II. That's the whole reason for World War II, was to see which country could obtain this alien technology that allows them to make a copy of another human. The reason the Illuminati wants to make copies of other humans is, again, multi-pronged. But basically it comes down to doing evil. But in a lot of cases, like say a person sells their soul, a lot of famous people have clones. The reason that they have clones is so that they can get more done. because, you know, the more that they can get done, the more money they make for their team or whatever. So cloning is a big part of famous people's lives. I think once you make enough money, I don't know, you get offered this. They show this in the movie The Island, starring Ewan McGregor, and again, Scarlett Johansson, where there's these clones living underground, and, you know, they think that's a normal life, but two of them escape, and they come up to our world on the surface, and they find out that they're actually clones for two celebrities that exist in the real world. So yeah, that's one reason that clones exist, is so that, you know, famous people can basically make as much money as possible being here, there, and everywhere. An example, and it's funny I should say that, another famous example of celebrities have used clones, the Beatles, like, famously, if you really think about it, it would have been impossible for them to do everything they did. They did like at least two albums a year, classic albums a year. They toured the entire world. They did interviews, they did radio shows, they did all sorts of stuff. You know, how were four people meant to do that? They say like the Fab Four because it was like the fabricated four. There are actually like many of them. But the whole point that I'm mentioning clones as part of reptilians is that a lot of the time the spirit or the soul or the person that's in control of the clone body is not human. In the movie Avatar, they show the sort of the technology of cloning, where, you know, you get into like sort of a virtual reality kind of situation, and then you wake up in the body of something else. So I think that's what's going on with cloning. A lot of the time it is demons controlling these clones, and you'll notice that when a famous person's clone is usually like a shitty version of them. They seem evil, they've got like an off vibe, they seem very fake. It's pretty common. Yeah, so moving on. Again, just keeping with the famous people, because like as this list goes on, you're less likely to see these things in person. Although this one probably is a bit more common. The vril drones. For those who don't know the vril, and I do plan on making a video about this, but because it takes quite a lot. If I just sort of mention it in passing, it's going to sound crazy, like everything else I've been saying, but a little bit more so. So, long story short, they say that there's this race of reptilians that are, you know, like only like very short, like a few feet tall at most. They kind of look like crab people. They showed that in South Park. They're called the vril. They have this pointy thing on the top of the head called a proboscis. What they can do is, one time in their life, kind of like a bee sting, is sweat their quill, where a little worm type of creature comes out. This is the vril drone. It comes out and it can crawl its way into the eye of a host, usually a human, and take over that body by burrowing into the brain. The person that it takes over dies, and then the vril is essentially the owner, the new owner of the body, and they can do whatever they like with it. Again, with famous people, a lot of people get replaced this way, where there's this thing called the Black Eye Club, which if you just Google it, so many people, so many celebrities, nearly all of the people of prominence have been shown with black eyes at one point or another. Some people say it's part of a humiliation ritual, but if you look into it, Donald Marshall and whatnot, cloning centers, you'll find the vril conspiracy. There's a lot of information about this, where there's this little parasite that crawls into the eye and does so much damage to the eye that it's you know, they get a black eye for about a month or so, and it takes over the body. The reason for this is that people in prominence have a lot of influence, and they don't want people having people of influence having good influence on the general public, because that's not good for their agenda. Like I said earlier in the video, these reptilians, the psychopathic evil ones that are controlling the planet, they thrive on negativity, low vibration, and so they can't have people spreading good energy and good they can't have people spreading the truth or helping humanity with their status, their money. So at a certain point, pretty much every person is vrilled. If they're not vrilled, they're killed. And you know that's true because it rhymes. So moving on, organic portals. I've done a video on this, many videos. Most of us are aware of what organic portals are. 70% of the population have no inner monologue. They don't think for themselves. They're basically the product of programming, usually by the media, education, upbringing, bias, you name it. You know, they think. They're technically AI because we're in a simulation. But one of the purposes for organic portals, and there have been so many of them walking around, is that they can be taken over by reptilians who aren't in physical form, who are existing in the higher fourth, fifth dimensions. Not the physical third dimension. They show this in the movie The Matrix with Mr. Smith, how he can jump into bodies at any time, take them over. Mr. Smith, I think, is an analogy for reptilians in that movie. He's a demon, technically. He's evil. And, you know, so reptilians who are not in physical form can take over the bodies of these empty people and pilot them for a short amount of time to execute some sort of evil deed. That's kind of what gang stalking is a lot of the time, is that normal everyday people, because they're everywhere, can be taken over just to screw with you for a little bit. That's like a demon that's always following you and just trying to get loose out of you, which is negative energy, like using the organic portal as a pawn to create some sort of situation that upsets or angers you. A lot of the time this happens on the road, but it could happen anywhere. You know, someone just like getting in your way, just anything that's going to frustrate you, that creates loosh. And that's what these things do. They jump in these bodies just to fuck with people because they get off on it. It gives them energy. So that's one way that reptilians can get to you, is through organic portals, and it's just, they can pilot anybody who's lower vibration. So you have to do things to keep your vibration high. You know, eating the right foods, keeping the right company, not jerking off to porn too much, not doing drugs, not drinking alcohol. All of these things can, even a human person, end with them becoming possessed. So you got to look out, because it can happen to anybody. Okay, so the next type of reptilians, and the final, well, technically the final one on the list, is cryptids. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this because I don't have a lot of knowledge on this, but this is just like, again, sort of like just a general catch-all kind of category. Cryptids are just like non-human, kind of like monster of the week they used to show on X-Files, just any sort of thing. Like I said, when I use the phrase reptilian, I am talking non-human, usually malevolent, psychopathic creatures. And there's a channel on YouTube that's very good that has like many compilations of found footage of people like capturing on their phones or cameras very strange creatures out there in the woods. A lot of them live underground. They showed that in some horror movies of reptilians that live underground. Ones that live under the sewers, Chuds, the classic film Chuds. Lots of different examples of cryptids, which are just like sort of like rogue, weird aliens. I don't know if they're creating them in like Area 51 bases or whatnot, or if these are just things that are out there that we don't know, that live underground, that live out in the forest. But there's lots of different types of alien creatures out there. So check out the channel Informing Masses if you want to see a lot of these really cool, pretty scary, pretty messed up, but very interesting videos showing cryptids, which are just falling into the general reptilian category. And of course, I wrote this down as a joke, but the most common reptilians of all, you got to watch out for these ones, are things like snakes, lizards, turtles. Not Ninja Turtles, but you know, that's another thing in popular culture where they've shown telling you the truth about these things living underground. But yeah, anyway, so there you go. That's pretty much all you need to know about reptilians. I'm sure I've left a whole lot off. I'm sure it was a big confusing mess. But I managed to get through the video without alerting the nut house, which is good. Yeah, makes me think that I can get away with my next video about my cat being abducted by aliens. That's going to be a good one. Beep, 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 crazy alert, crazy alert. Ah, crap, it's going off again. Ah, I got to think of something sane to say. Beep, beep, beep. I can't wait to get my third booster. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, really? I can't wait to get my 4th booster. Beep, 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 calling Nut House now. Ah, crap, I can't wait to get my 10th booster. Sane levels. Normal. Powering down. Whew. Man, I've got to throw this thing in the trash. Anyway, so that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a whole lot. And what did you think of the video, Truth Cat? Hold on. What did you think of the video, Truth Cat? What did you think of the video, Truth Cat? So it was a good one? Yeah, really good one. Alright, well I hope you all enjoyed it just as much as he did. Truth Dog out. Woof woof. Beep 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 beep. This guy thinks he's a dog. Calling Nut House now. Ah, god damn it.